Should we talk about the movie?
There was a movie?
Oh, geez, I completely forgot.
Yeah, Transcendence.
Transcendence.
Had Johnny Depp. I'm not sure who his love interest was. Let me get over here. Look it up. Let's see, Transcendence.
Rebecca Hall.
There. Rebecca Hall?
Yep.
Okay. So this is a movie from 2014. Ah, I thought it was more recent than that. Guess not.
It was a younger Johnny Depp.
Before he was eaten up, chewed up and spit out by Amber Heard. Johnny Depp, Morgan Freeman, Rebecca Hall, Paul Bettany, Kate Mara, Cillian Murphy, and Cole Hauser. So it kind of starts out. This is all the movie's all about artificial intelligence and nanotechnology and stuff like that, and
Intelligence transference? I don't know what you would call that.
Yeah, they're in the beginning. You have a group of scientists. They're working on artificial intelligence, and they want to show the world all their new breakthroughs. But keep in mind, this is 2014, so before ChatGPT and stuff like that became household names. And there's also a separate group who are anti-AI, and they're kind of an underground organization that I don't know. What do they believe, that it's going to take over the world, or they're just
Destroy
fighting
the
against
world?
Yeah.
I think they're against all things. They're
She's-
called Unplug.
She gives a whole sort of monologue about how she was part of the research and they hooked up the monkey brain, or they transitioned, or they loaded it, uploaded it, whatever they were doing, and how it just
Didn't breathe, its heart didn't beat, and all it did was scream the whole time.
Yeah, and how it was, she was just interpreted that as it was in agony and wanted to be killed or turned off or whatever. And so so at that point she sort of figured, she felt that it was wrong, and so yeah, it kind of started the whole movement. Yeah. And that she was saying that they would get together and talk about that guy's specific, that character's specific work, like his philosophy of, is it moral to do this and that kind of thing. So that's why she kept appealing to him.
So Johnny Depp is part of this group of scientists, him and his wife, who is kind of the mouthpiece of their AI movement, and they end up being victims of a terrorist attack by this Unplugged group. I think one attack is like a cake that has poison or gas in it and takes out some of the AI scientists. But Johnny Depp himself gets shot by a bullet that has plutonium on it, I think. So he gets radiation poisoning.
Yeah.
So he only has 4 to 5 weeks, the doctor says, to live. So what they want to try and do is upload his mind into their computers, and they have these quantum processors that they steal from the lab that gets shut down. And
the same method they used on the monkey.
Yeah, so I don't know how this works. They don't really explain it. Like, I don't think it would work in real life. Like, try to upload somebody's mind by just putting a bunch of electrodes on their head and
scanning everything that happens.
Yeah, but anyway, he ends up. Oh, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, like, I was trying to figure that out too, because they had all the electrodes hooked up, but then he'd like sit there and read words.
Well, they did that,
like, just
for the speech. After they loaded him up, they wanted him give him a way to speak using his own voice. At least that was my interpretation of that.
Gotcha. I didn't understand that. Okay.
Which is
And
why he sounded the way he did when they first got him turned on.
Gotcha. Okay.
so yeah, so it works, and he dies, but he's inside their computers now, and the whole mystery is whether this is just a
Him or a copy of him.
yeah, whether it's actually him or if it's an evil AI copy, because as soon as he turns on, he demands more power, more processing. He wants to be connected to Wall Street and all this other stuff. And his partner, who's there that helps with the project, says he would never say that or do that, but his wife says she swears it's him. So he ends up Johnny Depp, as the computer, ends up getting her a bunch of money, I guess, through the internet, and so they can fund building this huge data center in this shithole town in the desert. Like, I think they said they built it 5 stories underground or something to keep the data center cool, and he starts to take care of business in that data center. Johnny Depp does. He gets a lot more power. They have all this solar power farm to power the data center, and they have all these employees now and contractors that are building everything for them. And they got this huge laboratory where they have these more quantum processors to run everything. And now he's getting into nanotechnology. The first contractor he hired is rich now, of course, because he brought in all this work to build this data center, and he gets jumped when some local no-goods see him paying with a wad of cash at a restaurant or a bar, and they beat the shit out of him. And Johnny Depp, AI Johnny Depp, tells everybody to bring him into the lab, and he's all crushed and beat up, and these wires or something that are operated by the AI fix them all up and implant them with nanotechnology that heals them. But at the same time, it also connects him to Johnny Depp. So they have a electronic networking mind connection. And
Hive mind is what they call it.
yeah, and so all of the employees now that work for him are getting this connection, and they're getting body upgrades.
He brought in he put out a call on the internet and brought in people that had disabilities of some kind or debilitating injuries of some kind, including a guy that was like completely blind since birth and physical deformities and things like that.
Yeah, so he had all these people brought in, and I'm guessing so that they would be loyal to him, he fixed them all, and now he's got all this free labor that he also gets networked with, and so they're always
stronger than normal.
Yeah, he enhances them and stuff like this, and his wife becomes kind of afraid of him because she's not sure what his plans actually are. And also, the government teams up with the terrorist organization in the background, along with Morgan Freeman, and they want to stop him at all costs. But he's plugged into everything now, so they have to use kind of old school artillery and stuff to barge into the data center property, and they start shooting. But unbeknownst to them, the nanotechnology is everywhere. So anybody that gets shot that's on his team can regenerate, and solar panels regenerate, and
right. They show that the nanites are in the water table, and
yeah, that he's distributed all these nano machines everywhere. So they've gone on the winds and they've flown around the earth, and so it kind of goes on like that. And he towards the end, I guess he's actually benevolent. He wasn't power hungry after all. He wanted to just heal the earth with the nanotechnologies. You think that's true? And also, she thinks she says that she believes him, that he's really
That
him
should be
and
fine.
stuff too.
No, that should be fine.
he was kind of given a choice of either watching his friend, because he knew that his wife had been infected with the virus.
Oh, that's right.
And
I
that if he
skipped that part.
uploaded, and that if he uploaded her, that it was going to kill him and her. But she had been shot, hit with artillery, and was dying, and he could either fix her body or upload her. That was the choice that he had, because that's all he had the power to do. And then his friend Max, the guy that had betrayed him, was also in a position where if Johnny didn't do the upload, he was going to die. And so, despite the fact that they thought that this guy was no longer human and didn't give a shit, they were threatening his friend. And the choice was, you know, upload the wife and die, or watch his friend die. And, well, yeah.
So, yeah, that's what happened at the end, is I forgot that she was carrying a virus manufactured by one of the other scientists that survived, and it destroyed. Not only did it destroy Johnny Depp and the data center and everything, but I don't know how it did this, but it just blacked out the world to where nothing worked, nothing electrical worked. Yeah.
It destroyed all the computers, everything electronic, blah,
they
blah,
really didn't
blah.
They didn't cover that in enough depth for me. I kind of felt like that was
that should have been a whole much bigger sticking point, considering how many people would die from that happening.
Well, it started with that, right? I mean, they started with, okay, it was sort of a, not exactly dystopian, like I guess it was technically because the internet was gone and it caused the collapse of like financial systems and stuff, but it wasn't like World War III or something. It was...
Well, you saw people like using laptops as doorstops because they wouldn't work anymore.
You gotta love how they kept on showing that same shot of the guy taking the laptop and using it to shove it underneath the door.
Yeah, they really leaned into that, didn't they?
Yeah. But I mean, if no computers are working, then no manufacturing process is working. So they're not making life-saving drugs anymore. They're not running respirators anymore. They're not running CPAP machines anymore. So they're not making medicine. They're not running any of the machines. You had a total blackout, so immediately anybody that was on life support is freaking dead. And then without all the manufacturing involved with bringing food everywhere, how many more people died? I mean, seriously, there had to be some cost-benefit analysis that was done where one way you're losing most of the human race and the other way you're potentially losing the entire human race. But seriously, you just frick it, kill most of us.
Yeah, and I forgot that they had that scene in the very beginning too, where that scientist was talking about how the internet was gone, and it was kind of like the last scene of the film was the first scene of the film or whatever. So they were foreshadowing what happened. But I can say this: I didn't like this movie. I thought it was boring. I don't know if I hated it. I just thought it was extremely boring and just a bad movie. Yeah.
Seriously, for the amount of things that happened in this movie, there was so much time where nothing was happening. It is the most exciting, boring movie I have ever watched.
There's just nothing compelling. None of the characters were interesting, and Johnny Depp he was basically a talking robot. Like even his performance was, so it just didn't appeal to me. I had to speed it up, this movie, which I very rarely do.
I tried watching it. I tried watching it at 2, but that made a lot of the language incomprehensible, so I could only crank it up to like 1.5.
Yeah, which is what I did. I went up to 1.5, and I just it's too long.
I kept hoping the same thing. I was on Plex, so I couldn't speed it up. But yeah, I was just like...
Yes, you can. There's an extension for that.
Oh, okay. Well, anyway, I couldn't with what I was doing. So yeah, I just sat there, and you're right. It was like these long transitions where they would show like shots of nature for 30 seconds. And you're like, dude, this is a movie. You're wasting... Like, how much did it cost you to put in a stock stock, video roll of like some trees. Like, what are you doing?
Supposedly, this was like a box office bomb. Like it lost over $100 million or something.
Look at all
like
the
that.
actors that were in it. I mean,
Yeah.
Morgan Freeman,
And the budget
Johnny
was huge.
Depp,
Yeah.
that guy, the blonde guy too. He was not like a nobody,
Yeah, I've seen him in several things too. Yeah.
So it was surprising when I saw Morgan Freeman come up. I was like, wait a minute, because I saw on Rotten Tomatoes it has like a 19%, which it deserves.
Yeah,
it deserves it. But like when I started seeing all the stars in it, I'm like, how did this do so poorly? And yeah, it was edited badly. Like there was just very few redeeming qualities to it. The tech was really like overdone and like silly, and yeah, it was not good.
Very
it really
dumb.
wasn't good.
Yeah, I agree. It's just some of it was pretty to look at, but I was thinking the same thing. How could they pour this much money into a movie like this and it be as boring as it is and just not compelling and just a total slog fest to get through? And oh well, it's just a risky run. So I give it a thumbs down.
I'm gonna give it a half.
Really?
Yeah.
Honky gives it a half. So what'd you like about it, Honky?
I don't know. I thought the movie was okay, but I agree with the fact that it being slow. I mean, compared to a lot of the other movies that we've seen, this is not nearly as bad. Now, is it as good as many other movies? That
is it as good as Birdemic?
Well, I mean,
it's still. I'd still rather watch this than another Don the Dragon Wilson movie.
Oh, not me. I'd definitely rather watch.
Oh,
at least that was. At least that's so stupid. It's funny or interesting or something about it is at least a little bit compelling. This was just blah, like total snooze fest, like nothing going on. And I don't know. I think it just proves that no matter how much money you throw at something, if you don't have good direction, good stories, and things like that, it's not going to come out well.
I really think they felt like the concept itself was so intrinsically interesting, and then the special effects were somehow going to like carry that. I don't know.
It felt like they wanted it to be a very cerebral movie, and then they didn't put in the smart parts of it.
Yeah, there wasn't any smart parts in it. There was no like. I would have loved to hear like the different philosophical takes of artificial intelligence and stuff like that, and they had that opportunity, but they didn't fill it out that way. So yeah, not for me.
This is definitely too long and boring and just drawn out. If you guys dig the concept of this whole transference thing, there's an old X-Files episode that was actually written by William Gibson of Neuromancer fame, who the whole episode deals with this guy putting his body inside of a computer, and then his girlfriend is still in the flesh and stuff. And it's actually a pretty good episode. If you guys are into that.
Yeah, I don't remember that episode.
Yeah, I forget what season it was, but it's worth a watch, and it's way better than this.
Mm-hmm.
Might as well go back and watch Max Headroom. I'm just saying.
Warren, did you catch this movie?
Maybe he just left, I think.
So he just left.
Did he? Okay. So we get 1 star then, since both of you give it a half a thumb.
Right.
All right.